requested by Senator Kataya Mofaya. 2, a request for statement sought by Senator Professor Tom Odhiambo Ojeda regarding border disputes between Kisumu, Nandi counties of Chimilili, Muhoroni, Miwani, Kibogori, Kibos, Kuru, Kobere towns, and Kiricho and Kisumu counties of the Sundu area. 3, a request for statement sought by Senator Mohammed Chute regarding the acquisition and distribution of relief supplies by the county government of Marsabit and neighboring counties sourced from the county's development. 4, a request for a statement sought by Senator Johnson Maruma, MP, regarding the county boundaries guideline between Taita Taveta County and 3 of its neighbors, namely Makueni, Kwale, Kajiado counties. Committee is considering the statement by Senator Lengu Segi, MP, regarding the implementation of second level of devolution through decentralization of service in urban areas. Mr. Speaker, in its consideration for request for statement regarding the relocation of national government administrative service from Suka town to Gadawana town, which is the gazetted headquarters of Tharaka Nithi, Mr. Senator, by Senator Mendwa Gataya, the committee wrote to the Ministry of Interior and Administration of National Government seeking for a response as to why the relocation of national government service has not been affected. The committee received a comprehensive response from the Cabinet Secretary, which was shared to the requester of the statement. The committee undertook a county visit to Tharaka Nithi from 20th to 21st January 2023 to ascertain the status of the delayed operationalization of Kadana town as the county headquarters, and held meetings with the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission and the Control of Budget to deliberate on matters affecting the stalled constructions of Tharaka Nithi County Assembly chambers. Mr. Speaker, sir, the cause of the investigation, the committee has made the following key findings: that Tharaka Nithi County was among the counties that received the conditional grant intended to supplement financing of the construction of county headquarters, and as of June 2022, the cumulative expenditures of the construction was Kenya shillings 217 million, and the project was 85% complete. That there is a lack of adequate infrastructure in Kadwana town that can accommodate all the national government departments. The current available offices infrastructures can only accommodate 6 departments, including the office of the county commissioner. 3, that there are unfinished works on the construction of the county headquarters, including erection of a perimeter wall and electricity correction. 4, that there was a caveat put by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission in a letter to the county government of Tharaka Nithi stopping the release of funds for the construction of the county assembly until the anti-corruption and the AAC completes its investigation. 5, the ethics and anti-corruption investigations were encouraged into the irregular procurement of consultancy services for designs for the construction of the Tharaka Nithi County Assembly chambers, and that of the irregular procurement for the construction of the chamber. 6, that the size of the proposed structures was significantly larger than the required capacity to accommodate the 26 members of the county assembly. Mr. Speaker, the committee is about to conclude its investigation on the matter. The report shall be tabled in the House soon. Mr. Speaker, on consideration of the statement regarding the border disputes, the committee took important note of the history pertaining this particular issue. It is instructive to note that the issue of border dispute between counties has been a long-standing problem, spanning to the 10th Parliament to the current Parliament, with a myriad of disputes across the country. As you're aware, Mr. Speaker, border issues actually is emotive, and I think the committee has taken a serious consideration. and therefore we're still addressing the matter, and there's a bill now coming. The committee has also resolved that the framework for a peaceful resolution of the county boundaries and border disputes is clearly encapsulated in the Constitution and the relevant statutes, such as the Intergovernmental Relations Act No. 2 of 2012 and the County Government Act No. 17 of 2012, upon considering the numerous reports previously presented by various stakeholders. The committee advises that the most applicable solution to this episode is, espoused in the Article 88 of the Constitution, which provides that the boundaries of the county can only be altered through
Senator Sotsi and Senator Enoch, kindly
that the county
the Standing Order 118, please. Proceed, Chairperson.
The county boundaries can only be altered through a resolution of an independent commission set up for this purpose by Parliament. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee is currently considering the County Boundaries Bill 2023, Senate Bill No. 6 of 2023, which seeks to provide for a mechanism for the resolution of the county boundaries disputes, as well as give effective to Article 88 of the Constitution by providing the procedures of alterations of county boundaries. Once the bill is enacted, the necessary commission shall be put in place to resolve all county borders disputes. This, the committee believes, shall be the most appropriate solutions to the county border disputes. 9, Mr. Speaker, sir, all the other 3 statements before the committee have been processed. Invitations for responses from the relevant offices have been sent, and the committee is set to expeditiously deal with them as soon as they have received, to ensure that they are dispersed with they're dispensed with bills. Mr. Speaker, sir, one bill is before the committee, which is the County Boundary Bill 2023, Senate Bill No. 6 of 2023. The bill seeks to provide for a mechanism for the resolution of county boundaries dispute, as well as to give effective to Article 188 of the Constitution by providing for the procedures of alterations of county boundaries. The committee is presently carrying out public participation on the bill, and once all the views has been taken into account, we shall prepare and table its report before the House before 21st April 2023. County visits. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee has undertaken visits to 2 counties, that's the Tharaka-Nithi County and Meru County. Mr. Speaker, the committee undertook the county visit to Tharaka-Nithi from 21st and 22nd to 21st January 2023 to ascertain the status of the delayed operationalization of the Gadwana town as the county headquarters. A report of the findings and the recommendations by the committee shall be tabled in the House. Honorable Speaker, I would also like to take this opportunity to inform the House that the committee had been concerned with issues that took place in Meru County government, since this is a critical matter that affects the governance and management of the county governments. In this interest of protecting the devolution, the committee had considered playing a mediatory role and wrangles between the county executive and the county assembly of Meru. Unfortunately, the process of impeachment of the county governor through petition by the county assembly had commenced before the committee could intervene. Mr. Speaker, I wish to, however, report that on 21st to 22nd January 2023, the committee undertook a visit to Meru County and held a successful engagement with the governor as well as with the members of the county assembly as a follow-up on how the county is moving on the aftermath of the impeachment trial of the governor. In this regard, I wish to assure this House of the commitment of the committee to enhancing and strengthening good intergovernmental relations in the counties, which it regards as the cornerstone for the success of devolution. Stakeholder engagement. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee has held meetings with various stakeholders in the spirit of fostering good working relations with them. This includes the State Department of Devolution, the Intergovernmental the Intergovernmental Relations of Technical Committee, the County Assemblies Forum, the Council of Governors, the Senate Liaison Office, the Westminster Foundation for Democracy. Mr. Speaker, sir, the State Department of Devolution, which is a key player in the devolution space, I wish to inform the House that together we had fruitful discussions that set the tone for the strengthening of collaborations and buildings and robust engagement that aim to achieve the successful implementation of all functions that are devolved. Mr. Speaker, in recognition of the role of the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee plays as the state agency responsible for consultation, cooperation, and coordination of the two levels of government, the committee has held 3 meetings with agencies with the aim of collaborating on ways of deepening devolution and entrenching effective intergovernmental relations within the devolved system of governance. Mr. Speaker, sir, in appreciating the critical role the county assemblies play in legislation of the county affairs and oversight of the county executives, the committee has held 2 meetings with the county assemblies forum to identify the areas of support and collaboration with the Senate. I wish to inform the House that together we had fruitful discussions on areas of legislation and support, capacity enhancement, and opportunities for strengthening of intergovernmental relations for effective governance of county government. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Council of Governors is also a central player in the management and governance of devolution. In this regard, the committee has held a meeting with the Council and deliberated on areas and opportunities of collaborations for implementing devolution. The committee continues to engage the Council in critical aspects affecting the counties and looks forward to a successful working relationship in this term of Parliament. Foreign visit. Mr. Speaker, sir, in ensuring continued capacity building for the institutional strength and competence in execution of its mandate, the committee attended a training in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, from 14th to 22nd, up to 22nd, 2023, which was organized by the Eastern and Southern African Management Institute, ISAMI. The training was important in acclimatizing, Mr. Speaker, sir, for continuous improvement and effective performance on its mandate. The committee has considered a performance assessment and review report that was conducted by the Senate Liaison Office in collaboration with the Westminster Foundation for Democracy, which identified the challenges that were clawing back on the performance of the committee in the previous Parliament. The committee is taking robust measures to implement the recommendations made from the report, which shall enhance and strengthen its effective delivery. Consideration of the 2023 budget policy statement. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee considered the 2023 budget policy statement, the medium-term debt management strategy, on which it made critical observation and sustainable recommendations on the policies touching on the various fiscal challenges and risks that are facing the country's government, the county government. The committee has committed its report on the standing committee to the Standing Committee of the Finance and Budget and hopes that the committee takes into account its recommendation. Oversight the implementation of the Urban Areas and Cities Act number 13 of 2011. Mr. Speaker, sir, in line with the fulfillment of its mandate, the committee
for Africa and for the children of Africa and the rest of the world in relation to education is their passion. And they also visited Masai Mara and are going to be here for a few more days and will visit other places. Recently, Senator Chris Coons was in town and I was lucky to host him in one of the occasions for dinner, and you know he did a lot of work in the bipartisan process we are looking in the country. If you look at the current congressman and congresswoman, they are also from 2 different political parties. One is a Republican, the other one is a Democrat, and they are very bipartisan, even the way they conduct activities when they are serving the nation and serving the world. So, Mr. Speaker, I take this opportunity to welcome them, and I'm sure 1 or 2 other senators will join us as we have a cup of tea after this so that they can interact more. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I join you and my colleagues in welcoming the two Congress persons from the United States of America to this great Republic of Kenya. I'm very happy that you're working with Save the Children. I'm aware and I'm actually very conversant with the work that they do. And I'm very happy that you got a chance to visit the Masai Mara. I represent Narok County, which is with the Greater Masai Mara Game Reserve. I'd like to welcome you again to consider assisting young girls and boys from the Masai Mara region, from Narok County. We're heavily affected by the drought, which has completely devastated homesteads, and it's a big challenge for us. And I hope that when you're here, you can be able to also visit Kajiado County and see how they have been greatly affected. I requested to welcome you because America is my second home. And I know the amount of work that you do, and to see two congresspersons from the Republican Party and the Democratic Party working together is something which is going to assist us a lot here in learning to be bipartisan. Just like the United States, the Senate of the Republic of Kenya and the National Assembly are growing heavily apart to be two different distinct bodies. We represent the interests of our counties. They represent the interests of their districts or their constituencies, which I'm sure you represent. It's a bit different how we represent people here. Our term is about 5 years. I know yours is about 2 years, but we do the same work. So enjoy your time here in Kenya, and I hope that you will be able to send more good things about Kenya and have more foreigners, especially from the foreign committee, come to Kenya. Kenya is a good country. I also serve in the Energy Committee in the Senate, and I'm happy that we can be able to relate. Thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chiranke. Senator Enoch.
Handling bills and legislation. And the requirement there, Mr. Speaker, is direct to Parliament that those committees shall be facilitated to undertake public participation. Mr. Speaker, we need as a House to define that facilitation properly. Because, Mr. Speaker, in the process of dealing with one of those bills there, that committee almost landed into some trouble. We went into a place in my county, and because the people of Kitui love their senator, when they heard that we were coming for public participation on the Ndego bill, which they also grew, issues the assemblies and the executives are going through and see how to intervene before we get to levels of impeachment and other instances that may not paint devolution in very good light. So, Speaker, I thank you.
Senator Mungatana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to comment on the statement by the Committee on Agriculture. Mr. Speaker, my congratulations to the work they have done so far, but just a brief one and a quick one, Mr. Speaker. The committee omitted a very critical issue which I wanted to hear on. Mr. Speaker, like the previous honorable member who has spoken, I think the committees and the committee chairman, because they will read this on record, they need to know that we are very concerned as a Senate that a lot of money is remaining at the headquarters of the Ministry of Agriculture. And yet, agriculture is a devolved function, Mr. Speaker. We want to hear what efforts the chairman is making with his Committee of Agriculture to ensure that more money is coming down, because we have continued to have this complaint, we have continued to raise this concern, and where we can connect and put matters on record, Mr. Speaker, we are not seeing movement. It's not enough, Mr. Speaker, for the chairman to come and tell us we processed 2, 3, 4 bills, we did this and the other statements. What about their own suo motu movement to make sure that the anchor of agriculture is actually devolved, Mr. Speaker? 70% of the people of Kenya are employed in that sector. And these are in the counties, not in the towns. And we are not hearing much going on, Mr. Speaker, from their side. Mr. Speaker, we need to hear this in their next report. How have they engaged with the COG? How much money is coming down? And how are we benefiting in the counties, Mr. Speaker? In particular, rural counties like Tana River County, Mr. Speaker, we need the money to come away from the national government where the policymakers, and it should roll down to the counties. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. We are now moving to statements pursuant to Standing Order 52-1. Senator Crystal Asige.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 52-1 to make a statement of topical concern commemorating World Autism Awareness Day and Month. Mr. Speaker, World Autism Awareness Day is a global event observed annually on the 2nd of April and continues throughout the month. Its main purpose is to highlight the need to improve the quality of life for persons, I'll go again. Autism spectrum disorder is a developmental disorder characterized by behavioral and communication challenges that impact a person's ability to navigate social interactions and also causes their repetitive and restricted behavior. Mr. Speaker, autism spectrum disorder is a developmental disorder characterized by challenges to communicate that impact their ability to navigate social interactions and also causes their restricted behavior, The first historical appearance of the word autism was made in 1911 by the psychiatrist Eugene Bleuler. It was in 1943 when pediatric psychiatrist Dr. Leo Kanner characterized autism as a social and emotional disorder. And in 1944, Hans Asperger published his article where he described autism as a disorder of normal intelligence children who simply have difficulty with social and communication skills. These articles were an important contribution to the studies that helped to classify autism as a disorder, separate from schizophrenia. Mr. Speaker, it is important to note that as children with autism grow older, they face multiple obstacles because many do not speak or write or identify social cues as you or I do. They often become targets for bullies or are excluded altogether. Children with autism are also vulnerable to kidnapping, getting lost, or even drowning because they are prone to wander from homes and schools. Because of their inability to communicate, they struggle to tell someone their name, where they're from, or where they live. Additionally, autistic adults in our neurotypical society are more likely to be isolated, uneducated, underemployed, or unemployed completely. Mr. Speaker, only recently has autism spectrum disorder become recognized in Kenya. It is true that some behaviors of those with autism can be eccentric and therefore misunderstood, but they are not violent or evil. Luckily, over the past few years, autism awareness has slowly spread throughout the country. Global statistics show that 1 in 88 children will be ill in Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, this means that most non-disabled children during their school years will come into contact with autistic learners. When this happens, it is our responsibility to make sure that they are understanding them. It goes without saying children this with varying degrees of severity. Schools, because without it, it gives rise to further disadvantages to them and their families. It means that parents are forced to choose either frequent requests to their employers for days off, choice but to leave their autistic learners at home.
And other opportunities to improve their future prospects. And number 6, cause an audit of prevailing policies on the welfare of street families and children, proposing legislative interventions, if any, to cater to the special group of Kenyans. I will continue with the next statement. On claims of disposal of state-owned entities through privatization without the approval of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on claims of disposal of state-owned entities without the approval of Parliament. In the statement, the committee should clarify whether there are plans to dispose of state-owned Chemilil Sugar, South Nyanza Sugar, Nzoia Sugar, Miwani Sugar, Cabernet Hotel, Mount Elgon Lodge, Golf Hotel, Sunset Hotel Kisumu, Kenya Safari Lodges and Hotels, Consolidated Bank, Development Bank of Kenya, Agrochemical and Food Company, Kenya Wine Agencies, Kenya Meat Commission, and certain public universities through privatization without the approval of Parliament. Number 2, state the policy behind the move to privatize these entities, disclosing plans, if any, to undertake public participation among relevant stakeholders. Number 3, disclose the criteria used in choosing the entities, stating the valuation of each corporation and the expected proceeds from the proposed sale, and detail the procedures to be undertaken, stating the criteria for identifying potential buyers, as well as the terms and conditions of the sale. Mr. Speaker, I will continue with the last statement on Green Climate Fund's capacity building program for legislators in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the Green Climate Funds, that's GCF, Readiness Fund, for Kenya and how it could be used to support potential legislation and capacity building for senators. In the statement, the committee should disclose the status of Kenya's readiness program for accessing GCF funding, disclosing steps being taken to ensure that Kenya is fully prepared to access and utilize these funds. Number 2, table Kenya's implementation strategy of the fund, stating plans, if any, to involve the Senate in its implementation. Number 3, state the specific requirements and criteria for accessing this fund for the development of climate-related legislation. Number 4, disclose the total amount available for capacity building for senators for the period 1st January to 31st December 2023, stating specific areas to ensure that the GCF Readiness Fund is aligned with Kenya's national climate change priorities, setting ways in which this fund can support the development of a robust and sustainable climate finance architecture. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Hamida. Seeing the Honorable Senator Wambua Enokio, you want to speak to one of the statements? All right, go ahead, sir. Thank you.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I actually want to speak to two, but the one on the warfare of street children. Mr. Speaker, these children are Kenyan children. It is the responsibility, first of all, of the caregivers, whether parents or guardians, to take care of these children, because then that responsibility shifts to government institutions that really should take care of our children and make sure that we don't have this issue of street families and street children. Give them dignity and hope in life. But Mr. Speaker, the statement that I want to spend a bit of time to speak to is a second statement on a decision by the executive to bypass Parliament in the process of privatizing parastatals. The Speaker, simply defined, sustainable development is the ability of
the state of welfare and the street families of children. Mr. Speaker, I want to start by saying that all of us, including those of us who are here in the Senate, we are literally all one sickness away on a social welfare kind of mitigation, Mr. Speaker. Some issues have to be addressed, particularly the issue of job creation, Mr. Speaker. We are actually living in the times where we have to be intentional on creating jobs. And where do jobs come from, Mr. Speaker? They come from entrepreneurship. So it's all intertwined, Mr. Speaker. As much as this will be pushed to the Labour Committee, I find myself thinking, shouldn't the Education Committee also be part of it? Because our education should also be geared to a way that we are actually educating our children to be able to be entrepreneurs, to be able to stop looking for employment and start setting up businesses. So that while we are addressing the current situation of the street children and the street families by offering some form of social welfare, we are also mitigating that in the future, 10, 15 years, we are actually not going to have any Kenyan on the streets because they have a source of income, either through employment or through entrepreneurship, Mr. Speaker. I was actually thinking to myself, we talk about affordable housing. Affordable housing, which, as you know, Mr. Speaker, the Kenya Kwanza government is trying to implement, is one of the issues that needs to be really, really prioritized, Mr. Speaker. The street families are not out in the streets because they are not earning. Some of them actually earn. Some of them actually have jobs. But the problem is they cannot afford to even pay rent or have their homes wherever it is that they want to settle. So, Mr. Speaker, as I rise to support Senator Hamida's statement, I also want to say, Mr. Speaker, that please do not think of this as a narrow thing just to send to the Labour Committee. This is something that requires, it's a multifaceted issue. So even in terms of our education, how are we pushing for entrepreneurship? Mr. Speaker, I beg to support this statement. Thank you.
Senator Okech Edi Gisheru.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll try and be as succinct as possible. First of all, I just want to make a few comments about, and actually in support of Senator Hamida's statement on street children. You know, the issue of street children in this country, Mr. Speaker, is one that perturbs me because it just shows inhumane nature of our government. Because these are children that, if you look at the average population that we have in our streets today, do not go beyond 15 to 20,000 people. Then you have these 15 to 20,000 people in our streets who are kids born, rightfully so, with the enshrined rights in the Constitution of belonging to this country, and then they look like they're stateless. If there's one thing that the government can do that is innovative around dealing with the issue of street children, is to first of all give them a chance to be able to be registered. I think that registering these kids and even actually giving them IDs gives them a sense of belonging to a country that then every other thing can follow. So I think that with that issue of street children, what I would wish to see, even as this committee considers this statement, is how do we give these children a sense of belonging that they can also be Kenyans? Because when they're registered, they start enjoying being Kenyans with regards to any other aspect of their rights that is enshrined in the Constitution. That said, because of pressure of time, Mr. Speaker, I also wanted to make a comment or two about the issue of privatization. Mr. Speaker, you know, privatization of state entities is actually an issue of the will of the people of Kenya. It is not the will of the executive or the will of one arm of government. This is the highest level where sovereignty is extremely tested. And Mr. Speaker, if you look at Article 94 of the Constitution, this particular role is given particularly to Parliament. And the reason why this is important, that article in sub-article 2, Parliament manifests the diversity of the nation, represents the will of the people, and exercises that sovereignty. When you are going to talk about state institutions and state entities that have been placed as investments in different countries, like what I saw my brother, Senator Boni Alwale, talking about Zoya Sugar. You know, these are places whereby Kenyans invested both emotionally and economically to the extent
Senator Edi, 1 minute as you close. Give him 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, some of these statements I think are very, very important to dissect. Like, this is a role that actually, I think this is one of the statements that probably should even come as a motion so that we can be able to explore it further. But I just wanted to say that as a House, let's try as much as possible that we do not give some unalienable rights to ourselves to be able to represent the people, because all legislative powers that are affecting the people with regards to these things like privatization are actually held in this House. And I think that on this issue of privatization, because of pressure of time, I wanted to urge Senator Hamida, even as she considers pushing this as a statement to the relevant committee, that is Finance and Budget, which I also sit in, please consider bringing it as a motion so that we can actually be able to vent about it properly and be able to cement the role of Parliament with regards to this issue. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Senator Maruma Jones Mashushe, do you have a comment to the statements, or you want to read yours? Because I'm seeing in the order paper your statement is equally listed for today.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to comment about a statement by Senator Hamida Kibwana, and later on maybe read my statement.
Very well. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to comment on Senator Hamida Kibwana's statement on a privatization of state corporations. Mr. Speaker, this statement has come at the right time, because then it will allow us to get to understand the justification and the rationale of privatizing the state corporations, and especially doing so without involving Parliament. Mr. Speaker, when the executive is operating or is working, the architecture of our Constitution requires that Parliament does oversight. So what we'll be wanting to get from the Committee of Finance and Budget is the criterion that was used to identify the state corporations that are going to be privatized. Our experience, Mr. Speaker, has not been so good in Kenya. We have a situation where the management of state corporations under some unscrupulous government entities connive to milk state corporations dry, and then they sell them away for a song. They sell them away very cheaply. We do not know if this is the ploy, but Mr. Speaker, this statement will bring to the fore why the government of the day has decided to privatize these corporations without involving Parliament, which is an oversight arm of government. We have in my county 2 hotels, that is Voice Safari Lodge and Gulia, which are going to be privatized, and I don't know the criterion that was used. I don't even know how much is going to be raised by privatizing. I am supposed to be given opportunity to understand why they are being privatized, and also, Mr. Speaker, to get to give my comment. What happened to public participation when you are doing or when you are governing? So, Mr. Speaker, I would be waiting for responses from the Committee of Finance and Budget, and I know it will go a long way into maybe getting involved and deciding whether or not to allow or to see how we can prevent such from happening.
You now may go ahead to read your statement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senator Cherargei, protect me from Senator Cherargei. Thank you for allowing me to read this statement on delayed disbursement of Higher Education Loans Board funding. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education regarding delayed disbursement of Higher Education Loans Board funding to university and technical and vocational education training, TVET students. In the statement, the committee should, 1, explain the reasons for the delay in disbursement by the Higher Education Loans Board, HELB, of loans to students in tertiary institutions, outlining the measures the government has put in place to cushion students who solely depend on HELB funding to stay in class. Number 2, state reasons that led to students undertaking diploma and certificate courses in the universities being considered ineligible for HELB funding. And 3, provide a comprehensive report of the annual budget as disbursed by HELB, indicating amounts allocated to undergraduate, TVET, and AFIA Elimu, clearly stating amounts contributed by other partners of the HELB. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Maruma. Honorable members, I have got requests from the Honorable Senator Samson Cherargei, as well as Senator Kamar, and you both have got statements pending. I do not know whether you want to comment on the statement by Senator Maruma or to your statement that is scheduled for this afternoon as well. Senator Cherargei, yours had been dropped by the Speaker because it was called out in your absence. I will, if it is commenting, then I'll ask you to comment and limit you to a maximum of 2 minutes so that we can transact other businesses of the House. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and the great people of Bomet County must be proud of what you are doing in the House, considering that this is your first term. And we are proud of you, Mr. Speaker, sir. One quick thing, Mr. Speaker, when I hear this issue of help, you know, I get mad, but I'm not running mad. Because the chunk of the money that is sent by Higher Education's Loan Board to private universities is killing public universities. Mr. Speaker, sir, and I think we must have a conversation. It is good we have former Minister of Higher Education, Professor Margaret Kamar. We are using public money to fund private universities. I agree those students are our children, and they are public children if you want to call them. But what is stifling Higher Education's Loan Board is not even about delay of disbursement, but where majority, 3/4 of allocation through Higher Education's Loan Board go to private universities. And that is why Moi University is collapsing. That's why Egerton is collapsing. That's why virtually all public universities are collapsing, Mr. Speaker, sir. And even if I don't know the university that my brother, Senator Eddie Okech, went to, is also collapsing because it's a public university, Mr. Speaker. So we must have a conversation, Mr. Speaker, on how, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Cherargei, do you want to?
Yeah, just have a second because my time is running. Okay.
Mr. Speaker, it's important that my brother, Senator Cherargei, knows that I went to Yale University in Connecticut in the US, and is doing very well, it's not collapsing.
You know, Mr. Speaker, maybe the Higher Education's Loan Board and Ministry of Education should fact check the universities when, you know, he's one of his principals in Azimio got a fake degree. Mr. Speaker, what I was just saying in simple is that we must agree as a nation that let us stop and agree that we believe in public institutions. Mr. Speaker, sir, in conclusion, in 30 seconds, the comrades must receive their disbursement. Just 1 minute, Mr. Speaker, 30 seconds only. Mr. Speaker, just 30 seconds. Mr. Speaker, the comrades are suffering. And you know when the comrades open university, they eat the chicken. After some time, they eat the egg. After some time, they start eating what the chicken is eating. And the comrades are suffering, Mr. Speaker. Please, let this disbursement be done as soon as possible. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Cherargei, you did not meant your words in your comments, and thank you for that. Senator Professor Kamar Margaret.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I can take the 2 minutes to contribute and then read my statement. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the statement by Senator Maruma on the Help Loans Board. And I only want to put one thing, sustainability of help. Mr. Speaker, once upon a time, as has been said by Senator Cherargei, I was the Minister for Higher Education, Science and Technology, and our interest at the time, which was the year 2012, was the sustainability of the help, the loans board. And in fact, we hired a banker by the name Ringera for that one reason, that we wanted somebody who would look at things differently, behave like a bank, and actually loan consistently. Because if we are saying the delay is because of government, it means there's no sustainability within the loans board itself. I think as the Committee of Education looks at this question, they should actually grill the help executive and help committee on that one fact. When is it going to be sustainable? They must show us how they are going to make it sustainable in the long run. Because if we don't make it sustainable, we will be hitting at government instead of actually ensuring that the loans board recovers money in time to be able to take care of the loans. Mr. Speaker, I will only leave it at that, but more, our students, when they're suffering in university, become agitated. they disrupt everybody, they disrupt themselves, their academic program is highly disrupted. So we know that really an angry child, an hungry child is angry always. So let's help our children so that they can get support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, may I now then read my own statement? Again, to the Committee of Education, Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education regarding the failure by the Ministry of Education to release the capitation funds to special schools since January 2023. In the statement, the committee should, 1, outline the reasons for the failure by the ministry to ensure transfer of capitation to special schools, leading to a financial crisis that could cripple learning in these schools across the country. 2, state the plans the ministry has put in place, if any, to ensure that the non-teaching staff at the said schools who have not received any salary for over 8 months are duly paid. 3, state when the top-up payments for pupils living with disabilities were last sent to schools, outlining the amount paid per child. And 4, finally, explain whether the transferred funds are sufficient to cover all that the school needs to cater for the learners with special needs. Mr. Speaker, only 2 weeks ago we had our public participation on the bill on learners with disability, and we listened to the chairman of the Heads Association of Special Schools give us the horror stories under which they're undertaking they're handling their students. Their special students are already special, and we are dealing with students who don't have enough food. And we recently heard of a school where they only have 1 meal per day. It is a very...
Senator Kamar, you just need to read your statement.
Thank
Do
you.
not go into debating on it.
Thank you. I put it to rest. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senator Crystal Asige, you want to comment to the statement by Professor Kamar?
Please.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much.
2 minutes. We're limiting our comments to 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support the statement made by Senator Kamar on issues of capitations being released to special schools in the country. Mr. Speaker, the majority of learners with disabilities in primary schools are underfunded. This is owing to the same figures that are budgeted for every single year, despite the increase of PWD enrollment to these schools. The government provides an annual capitation grant at the rate of 1,420 per child in primary school and a top-up of 2,300 for learners with disabilities. Special secondary schools receive a capitation of 22,244 and a top-up of 35,000 for all learners with disabilities. This flat rate model assumes that there are uniform costs across all learners with disabilities, which is a dangerous assumption, Mr. Speaker. This cost should also take into account that children with disabilities are not monolithic. Each child and each disability needs its own specialized care and therefore capitation and budgeting. My proposed way forward, Mr. Speaker, that there is a need to move away from a flat rate capitation. Funding procedures should expressly provide for differentiated unit costs that takes into account various disability categories. Implementing as well of the 2018 presidential directive, allocating 20% of Ministry of Education infrastructure funds to schools to be applied to special schools. That's from 2018, Mr. Speaker. And secondary schools that are special should be availed funds should avail funds as they are for any other special schools in the country, Mr. Speaker. It's a real problem, and kids with disabilities are very much suffering, Mr. Speaker, because you cannot have every single year the budgeting remain the same, but our kids who are in special schools or need special attention in education who are increasing every single year. Mr. Speaker, I support the statement by Senator Kamar, and I will also be looking forward to hearing the responses from the Ministry of Education. I thank you.
Senator Maruma Jones.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity again to comment about this very important statement by Senator Professor Kamar about funding of education, special needs education. It is really discouraging to hear that the financing or the capitation that is supposed to go to financing education in special needs schools is not forthcoming. We've been given from the statement that even the employees who are supposed to support the students who are living in disabilities in the schools is not forthcoming. The employees have a backlog or have arrears of salaries running to months, up to 8 months, unpaid. If we don't fund the schools, special needs schools, already the learners there are marginalized. They are disadvantaged. So if we don't fund properly, then that serves to marginalize further the students. So what I would be wanting to know from the response of the stakeholders who would be invited is the reasons why we want to continue marginalizing and disadvantaging a group of people who are already disadvantaged, Mr. Speaker. Apart from that, Mr. Speaker, we have our schools in Kenya which are dealing with disadvantaged students. They have shortage of teachers. They have shortage of teachers. Already they require at least one student a teacher for some disabilities. But if you have schools like Timbila Primary School in Taveta, of Taveta County, having a shortage of 8 teachers, what are we saying about our focus and our how we need to support the special needs education? So I support the statement, Mr. Speaker, and I will be waiting to get the responses. I thank you.
Senator Dr. Halwale Boni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a very important matter. Here we are in the Constitution. We are telling people living with disabilities that we are waiting for you here in the Senate and in the National Assembly and in the Cabinet to play affirmative action so that you be seen to participate. Are you waiting that they come here when they are totally illiterate? And if you are expecting that they come here and participate at the standard that would be expected of them, who do you expect to bring them to this level? I speak with a lot of emotion about this because this is an area where I committed my efforts when I was controlling constituency development funds in Ekolomani, and I built Busiro Primary School, a Regi school for the mixed, a Regi mixed school, and Muhomo Primary School. It's a pity that this is coming up, and I want to thank Professor that it's only 2 days ago when I was doing breakfast with the head teacher and the deputy who is impaired, cannot talk, cannot hear, but can see. We're doing breakfast, and they were coming to request me to take to them 2 bags of beans and 3 bags of maize because the children had no food. Have we sunk to a level whereby senators should be releasing their meager salary to buy food for children who are disabled? Mr. Speaker, the statement must be strong enough and a proper, proactive answer to be brought before us because we cannot treat children who are living with disabilities as if they have committed a crime for not having been born with all the 5 senses. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Senator. Honorable members, that brings us to the time assigned for statements. We earlier on had dealt with statements from the various chairpersons of the committees, and now we're going to call the next order.
Order number 8, the Coffee Bill, Senate Bills number 10 of 2023, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to provide for the establishment of the Coffee Board of Kenya and the Coffee Research Institute, to provide for the role of the national and the county governments, provide for the regulation, development, and promotion of coffee industry, and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 9, the Natural Resources Benefit Sharing Bill, Senate Bills number 6 of 2022, second reading division.
Honorable members, this one will be deferred because of the numbers. Let's go to the next order.
Order number 10, the County Vocational Education and Training Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2022, second reading division.
Similarly, honorable members, this also will be deferred. Next order.
Order number 11, the Preservation of Human Dignity and Enforcement of Economic and Social Rights Bill, Senate Bills number 7 of 2022, second reading.
Honorable members, we are resuming debate on this. And I'm just getting a confirmation. We had on the floor of the House when the debate was adjourned, the House was adjourned on 30th of March, Senator Veronica Minda, you have got a balance of 4 minutes, and I now invite you to conclude making your contributions to the motion. You may go ahead, Senator Veronica.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This debate was adjourned at a point when I was coming close to the conclusion of discussing the points that I wanted to raise regarding the bill that was brought to the floor of this House by Senator Mungatana from Tana River County. And Mr. Speaker, I was on this point where I was explaining that there was need to effect certain amendments in order to enable this bill meet the purpose of the drafting of this legislation, Mr. Speaker, and in order to meet the purposes of Article 43 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Mr. Speaker, there is also need for a national conversation on the concept of progressive realization of economic and social rights as provided for under the Constitution. It is therefore important that this bill presents a review of, this conversation presents a review of measures that will be undertaken by both the national and county governments at different levels to assess the impact and to analyze what they have worked on and come up with a review of what has worked and what has not worked. So a framework must be established after this conversation within this bill to enable a measuring scale to show what would be deemed as having worked at the county government level and at the national government level, and the assessment of the measures taken by both levels of government in order for this right under Article 43 to be fully enjoyed by the citizens of Kenya. And there is also need in that national conversation to review the judicial decisions and the practice in comparative jurisdictions as to the criteria of or index that should be applied in measuring and tracking the realization of economic and social rights. And then, Mr. Speaker, the oversight mandate of Parliament regarding monitoring and implementation of economic, social, and cultural rights should be more clearly provided for in this bill. And that means we need to have included in the bill development of indices that even Parliament itself as an institution can use, first to monitor the implementation of the economic and social rights by the two governments, and secondly, to oversight other institutions that are working at a national level in giving these rights or monitoring these rights. These are institutions like KNCHR and GEC. What indices do they use to now gauge whether these rights have been realized fully or have been partly realized? And if it's partly realized, how far have they been realized and what remains to be done? So, Mr. Speaker, sir, during our committee meeting, it was then agreed that it would be ideal to seek that this bill be amended to include all those issues that we had discussed earlier, and to hold also an extensive stakeholders engagement to make sure that every single view that needs to be included within this bill, since the first time it's being legislated upon, is then captured within the bill to give it the full effect. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, as I rise to support, we also ask that the amendments be effected, and we hope the mover of the motion, our senior senator, Senator Mungatana, will consider the input that we have done as JLAC and find it necessary to include it within the bill, and then...
Senator, your time is up. The Honorable Senator Cherargei Samson Kiprotich.
Human rights and its preservation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. From the onset, Senator Mungatana Danson Mlamwamba continues to distinguish himself. He's churning very serious bills, Mr. Speaker. And I must commend him, Mr. Speaker. And you know he's also senior because he has served in this house, especially the lower house. I think this is the first time that he's serving in the upper house. And it looks that he has been doing his homework very well. It is not a case where the dog ate the homework, Mr. Speaker, sir, as in some cases. Mr. Speaker, sir, from the onset, I want to support this bill, the preservation of human dignity and enforcement of economics and social rights, as per Article 43, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, the assent of 1948 on United Nations Declaration on Human Rights of 1948 expanded and gave right to human rights. Mr. Speaker, you have to note, as a legal practitioner, that rights continue to expand. We used to have basic rights, like right to food, to shelter, and those were basic rights. Now we have advanced even issue of gender rights, where we are discussing a third gender rule. Mr. Speaker, we are discussing about environmental rights, where in the past, Mr. Speaker, it was not a norm. We are discussing about the first onset was on the issue of civil and political rights, Mr. Speaker. And Kenya being one of the signatories of these charters of human rights, the famous Banjul on human rights, Banjul on human rights of Gambia Declaration, where the Constitution says where a country is a signatory to the charter, Mr. Speaker, it forms part of our laws, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, when you read under Article 43, it is very important that it has been highlighted, especially on the issue of health, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as we talk today, doctors in my county are on strike or on go-slow. Yet Article 43 provides, and this law wants to give power to Kenya National Human Rights that the governor and the CEC Health should be surcharged. Because if they are not providing health, and it is a basic human rights, it is abusing, it is ultra-vires, it is contrary to Article 43. Because if doctors have not been paid, if they are not in hospital, if they are not serving the people, what is happening in Nandi is very unfortunate. Because if somebody walks in with malaria, Mr. Speaker, they are not treated. It is an abuse of Article 43. And therefore, government has an obligation be it at the county or national level, to implement the human right, Mr. Speaker, sir. And Mr. Speaker, when you look at about the right of the human rights, limitations and fundamental of human rights, Mr. Speaker, these rights we enjoy because Article 43 is very specific, that attainable health care standard, Mr. Speaker, which includes the right to health care services. We have seen even in private hospitals, and I'm told, I don't know, the women rep of Kirinyaga is bringing a bill at the National Assembly where they're supposed to find people who deny medical emergency services, Mr. Speaker, and there are many accidents happening in the country. Some of these private hospitals demand certain deposit before being able to attend to a patient, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, these are conversations that we must continue, that both state and non-state actors, Mr. Speaker, must be obligated. It is not cherry picking, you know, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, Article 43, to have breath and life, it must be looked at properly. And even reproductive health care, Mr. Speaker. There is a conversation, I don't know which state was it, in the US, where the judge have suspended the use of the contraception by women of what do you call, kuafia mimba. The English word is running away, abortion bill. And it is a huge conversation where even reproductive health women are saying, give us our right to decide what we want to do with our bodies. I don't know why people there like aborting, because Senator Kalwale is the father of many nations. We should be doing what the Lord gave us to do. You know, Mr. Speaker, it's not Father Abraham, and many people are Father Abraham, Mr. Speaker. But the problem here is deadbeat. You know, there is what we call deadbeat dads and daddies across the country. Mr. Speaker, point of order, I don't know why the Senator Mutinda is coming in between me and you, and that is violating standing orders, Mr. Speaker. Thank God you didn't see, you didn't capture
Senator Mutinda. You crossed over from this side to this side. Take note of that. Go back. Properly respect the House and allow Senator Cherargei to proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So what I'm just saying, Mr. Speaker, is that on the issue of reproductive health care, it is an emotive issue. The religious sector, most of us are Christians and Muslims, do not want to have this conversation about reproductive health care, whether we should train in school. I've seen a member of parliament of Homa Bay Town, Mheshimiwa Kaluma, is bringing a bill to even ban training of issues of biology and reproductive health care. I've seen an abridged version on issue of LGBTQ, Mr. Speaker. So the question is, when you talk about reproductive health care, should we include men who marry men or women who marry men as part of reproductive health care? You remember Museveni has said, President Museveni has said, I will close the two gentlemen who have married a man to a man, and I've never understood what a man would be looking for in a man, that if the day they will be able to give birth, then he can be able to allow LGBTQ. I know, and I want to thank the president, but because he was in Germany, he said we respect the cultures and values of other societies. They should respect us. Mr. Speaker, they should be telling this country, Mr. Speaker, why is it a criminal or a sin for Africans to be polygamous? But it is not a sin for them, it is not a sin for them to practice LGBTQ. That is a conversation we must have. Because when you discuss about reproductive health care, where are we? You know, that's the biggest challenge, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and therefore Article 24 talks about limitation of rights, Mr. Speaker. It doesn't mean when you have a right, you abuse. Where your right ends, another person's rights begin. And I know Senator Moma, who is a member of Speaker's panel, 2 weeks ago, they were on the streets. Yes, they have a right under Article 37. But they don't have a right to destroy property and maim and killings, Mr. Speaker. So, you know, where the right ends, another right begins, because that is limitations of right. That is what we are just saying, Mr. Speaker. issue of housing, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the President. The President is on the top agenda of affordable housing, Mr. Speaker. Every Kenyan should and must. And we will start with Migori, Mr. Speaker, so that we can see how government works, Mr. Speaker. I know Senator Eddie Okech. You know, Mr. Speaker, our brothers, like my brother Senator Eddie Okech, is a very good friend of mine, a fine gentleman, an academic by excellence. But you know, when they hear development, they become allergic to it. So we want, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that we do affordable housing. It is part, you know, by the way, let me at least, so that we are having a conversation that equals in this house. When you look at under Article 43.3, the state shall provide appropriate social security to persons who are unable to support themselves and their dependents. So the state in itself has an obligation, and that is why the President is pushing affordable housing. And we have told the President it will not happen only in Nairobi, it will not happen in Kisumu, Eldoret, or Mombasa, or major towns. It must happen at the lowest possible areas. Even in the Kolomani constituency, we must have affordable housing down there, Mr. Speaker, sir. So therefore, when you talk about free from hunger, Mr. Speaker, and it is sad that more than 4 million Kenyans are facing starvation and hunger. And we want to thank the donors, the office of the Deputy President. They have been doing a lot to provide food and animal feeds also too. This is an obligation. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, I know there is a bipartisan committee that has been formed. I don't know whether Senator Eddie Okech is there, but maybe he will brief me under a cup of tea. Personally, I'm not there. So, Mr. Speaker, and you are there, and we are proud of you. We'll do a good job. Mr. Speaker, the issue of subsidy, the government has an obligation. The government takes an obligation, Mr. Speaker, because the Article 43, the government must work on it towards it free from hunger. We don't want any Kenyan to die because of hunger in this country. Therefore, the President said we must subsidize production over consumption. We don't want to have hunger subsidy where it was like happy hour, Mr. Speaker, you know, for people who drink water like me and Uji, have different types. But there are Kenyans who drink other things after 7 or 7:30 thereabout, Mr. Speaker. There is what we call happy hour. What was happening with hunger subsidy, you hear it is in this supermarket, you go, they close the line, they finish. What the President is saying, let us irrigate more than 1 million acres in Kalana, Kulalu. Let us give subsidy farmers in Bomet, in Kisiaya, in Kakamega, and I'm happy. And I'm happy even in Busia, in where, Mr. Speaker, so that fertilizer, and by the way, affordable seeds, quality seeds, farmers we are planting. You saw our President, Mr. Speaker, over the Easter himself, he was leading the nation planting. Mr. Speaker, I was planting in my small way, but you know, my chamber is a bit little low, I could not take a picture. But Mr. Speaker, the President has shown the nation that you can lead, you can do something from wherever you are. Mr. Speaker, and that is why we are challenging Kenya National Trading Corporation, KNTC, in future to purchase subsidized fertilizer in November, so that by November, December, January, farmers should have subsidized fertilizer. Mr. Speaker, I want to tell KNTC, if they bring subsidized fertilizer after 14 of April this year, in the next 1 week, as we have closed planting season, and also to request they diversify subsidized fertilizer to include coffee, to include tea, because majority of your people plant tea, to include sugarcane, to include even beans from Ukambani, and my brother Ngusia is there. So, Mr. Speaker, we must agree that on the issue of hunger, we approach it through 3D. We don't just look at the normal angle. And therefore, I really want to thank the President because he is working towards regionalization to free Kenyans from hunger. And therefore, when this bill comes, it will have a role to play through what Senator Mungatana is playing, because Kenya National Human Rights is given opportunity. And therefore, I want to tell my brothers from the other side, respectfully, you don't need to carry sufuria on your heads or the cooking pot. What we need to do is agree, go back to the farm, do proper farming, get enough food, take down sufuria, go and cook that food for the benefit of all Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, that's the only we will change. Even if we do bipartisan approach and discuss about the cost of living and hunger subsidy and water, it is not sustainable. And any person who stepped in economic class knows that subsidies are never sustainable. You saw fuel subsidy, 34 billion could not be accounted. In fact, we had to censor the Minister of Energy in the previous handshake government, where the political godfather of my brother, Senator Eddie Okech, was a big brother in that engagement, Mr. Speaker. We had 34 billion cannot be accounted for. The hunger subsidy. So I want to ask my brothers on the issue of cost of living and food. We must allow farmers in Migori to go back to farming, in Nandi to go back in farming, in Kakamega, in Bomet, in Mandera. We can do irrigation in Kulana, Kulalu. I'm told even Sai, Mr. Speaker, as we talk today, floods is wreaking havoc in the northern part of Kenya. Why don't we use water pans, harvesting dams, Mr. Speaker, so that when it is dry season, our animals and we can do irrigation in northern Kenya, Mr. Speaker, then we can get enough and sufficient food. Mr. Speaker, Bingwa Mutharika in Malawi ensured that from food insecurity, through what the president is doing, through provision of subsidy in production, that country became food secure. And by the way, Mr. Speaker, if the country cannot provide food for its people, it is a threat to national security. And therefore, I want to thank the president and to say we need to actualize this, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, because I want only to finish with the issue of water. Mr. Speaker, the president and the government has committed it will build 100 dams. For example, in my county, Nandi, we are building Keben Dam, which is around 10 billion Kenya shillings. The border of Nandi and Kisumu, there is Soin Koru Dam. That is around 30 billion. We are building there between Kericho, Nandi, and Kisumu. We are also building Cape Karen Dam, that is 1.2 billion. Two rivers in Wasingishu, Carmeno Dam, Twake. You saw the president on Thursday, Mr. Speaker, at Mwache, commissioning and ensuring completion of Mwache, Mr. Speaker. There is Musima Springs in Coast that is not sufficient for those people, Mr. Speaker. Across the country, in Kakamega, 100 dams plus will be built. Even in Nyanza, in Siaya, in Omabe, even in Kisumu, Mr. Speaker. Because the president has realized that under Article 43, he has an obligation to ensure clean and safe water, Mr. Speaker. Because most of the diseases is because, I don't know whether Mukumu issue, where Senator Boni Khalwala and our condolences, our deepest condolences and our empathies with parents and stakeholders of Mugumu girls, and I think the other school that because I think we have lost a number of students. I don't know whether it is because of unclean water, but maybe as investigations ongoing, we'll be able to know, Mr. Speaker. But provision of access and clean water is very critical. Most diseases are related with water, Mr. Speaker, and therefore, the government must go a step forward and build 100 dams and ensure they are there, Mr. Speaker. We want to provide water in this city. There is this issue of Muranga providing water, the tunnel. We have the water that is there is no longer the Kindaruma dams that is sufficient to this city, Mr. Speaker. There is no water. Most of the people in this city are drilling boreholes in this water, Mr. Speaker, to get water, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, even when demonstrations were there, getting water is a problem. We wanted to make it, and I saw, by the way, was it pipeline, where ordinary Wananchi was removing water, washing our brothers and sisters that had given pink or was it purple water. So, Mr. Speaker, water is life. Water is important, and I think the president has realized that it is. Finally, on education, we are just discussing the issue of education, Mr. Speaker, and when I said many people are laughing on social media, us who are comrades, I don't know whether Senator Eddie went, is it called somewhere in the US, I think the Ministry of Education should get us the accreditation properly so that some of us can pronounce whether comrades were there. Because at the beginning of the semester, Mr. Speaker, comrades eat chicken. After 2-3 weeks, when the help boom is easing off, comrades start eating the egg. After some time, Mr. Speaker, we eat what the chicken eats, and that is sukuma wiki, the kales, and many others. So, Mr. Speaker, it is also important that education should be affordable. And I had a very strong argument that why would we use public money to fund private universities? And that is why you find today everybody is writing to private universities. And I'm happy for the first time. Most of the young people, and I'm proud, are now shunning universities, Mr. Speaker, to go to Tibet technical vocational training centers. Because, Mr. Speaker, all of us cannot go to university. And I'm happy the turnover, Mr. Speaker, the children who are going to technical institutions, Mr. Speaker, are doing so for the benefit, for their lives, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I know it will be unpopular. We cannot, and I want to ask CS Machoku to restructure when they are giving capitation of higher education's loan board. They should not give priority to private universities. And I think the former Minister of Education must have done an holy alliance with these private universities. Because our universities, public universities, are dying. When you go there, there are no toilets, the buildings are pathetic, lecturers are not being paid, lecturers are living in squalor, Mr. Speaker. You find at the end of the day, lecturers are running to private universities like Strathmore University, like many universities that we know, Kabarak, and many others, Mr. Speaker. Why don't we go and fund, using higher education loan board funds, to fund public universities, to make them competitive? Most of our universities have shut down research. They are not getting funding to do research. How can we expect our graduates to be competitive? I don't know, Senator Eddy was mentioned on the issue of server. How can we make sure our children are able, Mr. Speaker, to know what server is when we say open the server? We want to see the arithmetic. I know he's an IT person. Mr. Speaker, how? So if education must be affordable and quality, that is my argument. The education must be affordable and quality. The issue of junior secondary schools, Mr. Speaker, there was allegation that one teacher was teaching the entire subjects. How can we ensure affordable and quality education if we are not, Mr. Speaker? And therefore, Mr. Speaker, in 1 minute, is that this bill will ensure for us who are champions of human rights, it will do exactly what is the best for us.
Senator Cherahe, your time is up. Honorable Senator Muma Muyeka Catherine.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First, I'd like to congratulate Senator Mungatana on this very important bill. Mr. Speaker, this may very well be one of the most important bills that this country needs to have. Mr. Speaker, we have a constitution that recognizes the entire range of human rights, including socioeconomic rights. Those of you who know what socioeconomic rights are, these are rights that are not just achieved at a go, they are rights that are progressively realized. Mr. Speaker, Article 21 of the Constitution actually calls upon the state to put in place legislative measures to ensure that standards for achieving progressive realization of the rights in Article 43 are put in place. This bill is an attempt to help us to achieve that. Mr. Speaker, the rights under Article 43 include the right to health, including reproductive health rights, the right to water and sanitation, freedom from hunger, the right to education, the right to housing, and the right to emergency treatment, among other rights. Mr. Speaker, Kenya is also signatory to international treaties, particularly the UN Convention on Rights, on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. And Article 2 of the Constitution makes that convention part of the laws of Kenya. We are also signatory to the African Charter that has also provided these socioeconomic rights. The way to implement these rights is through the sectoral ministries and by counties. So the right to health, for instance, is implemented consultatively or cooperatively by the Ministry of Health and the county governments. So is the right to water, education, and so on. Mr. Speaker, therefore, the number one space where these rights are implemented are the sectoral policies and the sectoral laws on water, on health, and all those rights that are provided. Article 21, that is the article that this bill seeks to implement, is an article that seeks to help us to enforce the implementation of these rights. And this bill intended to do this. Mr. Speaker, our Constitution contemplated that we would have oversight, independent institutions, and these include the Article 59 commissions, including the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, the National Gender and Equality Commission, and if you look at the laws that established these commissions, Section 8 of the National Gender and Equality Commission actually gives the mandate to set the standards for implementing Article 43 rights to the National Gender and Equality Commission. This bill proposes to give that mandate to the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. So if passed as is, the bill would have consequential implications on both the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights Act and the National Gender and Equality Act. So one of, and I happen to be a member of the JLAC, one of the recommendations we were making is that we need to look at this bill as we amend. We need to ensure that we are reading other laws that will be impacted by this bill to ensure there is harmony and not confusion. That's one of the recommendations we made. We also made a recommendation that the best way to ensure that a sector implements its responsibilities under Article 21, under Article 43, is to ensure that the policies of that sector, the laws of that sector, actually entrench that responsibility. So the responsibility, for instance, to ensure progressive realization of the right to health are best entrenched in the Public Health Act, in the health policy at the national level, and in the county sectoral laws and policies, if any. So that those who are implementing, and implementers in the executive usually have sectoral policies and laws that guide their implementation. So those sectoral laws, it is our responsibility to ensure that all those laws have recognized health as a right, have recognized water, sanitation as a right, and so on. So, Mr. Speaker, what we suggested in the committee, that one, this bill would call upon those in the different sectors to mainstream or to recognize the responsibility to implement in all their sectoral policies and laws and ensure that they're there. Mr. Speaker, because the enforcement or the oversight role has been given to the Article 59 commissions and the Gender and Equality Commission in particular, which was asked to actually put in place standards, we need to find a way in which Parliament can oversight on the entire process. Parliament's role is to represent, to legislate, and to oversight. So this law should come up with guidance on how we can hold the Article 59 commissions responsible in respect of the mandate given to them to implement, to oversight the implementation of the of Article 43 rights. It should equally provide the standards that Parliament can use to enforce the implementation of these rights by the executive. So the recommendations we have made in the committee report was basically to amend this law so that it specifically calls upon possibly a joint committee or relevant committees in the two houses that deal with human rights, with a requirement to put in place a mechanism and a standard that can assist us in measuring progressive realization of these rights. Mr. Speaker, these rights happen to align with the SDGs. They happen to align with, in the previous government, some of the big four. They align with the manifesto that the current government wishes to implement. So all we are saying in terms of implementing or enforcing these rights is trying to put in place a mechanism that can enable Senator Boni and the rest of Senate to be able to go to Kakamega and find out if only so many percentage or so much percentage of citizens of Kakamega are able to access primary health care in 2023. What measure are we going to put in place so that we are able to find out whether that measure is better come 2026? Are we able to tell the Kenyans that through our evaluation mechanism, we are able to tell Kenyans that we are making progress insofar as facilitating access to the right to health in Kakamega County is concerned? Equally, we would be able to find out whether we are clawing back. Maybe Tana River was at particular percentage in facilitating access to water. But 2 years later, we find, in fact, that percentage has dropped. We would be able to measure to find out we are actually clawing back on these rights. So this is a very important bill. It's an important bill that we must carefully ensure that we have crafted it in such a manner that it will not be a dead law. It will be a law that will actually enable us to hold people accountable. It is a tool that, in fact, the Auditor General can use to try and measure performance. In our conversation with the Auditor General recently, we talked about performance auditing. This is one of the tools that will facilitate performance auditing, because we will be able to know what is the impact of giving so many billions to County X. What has it delivered, what has it not delivered? We will also be able to tell when a governor is leaving, when the governor comes in, what did you find in place? As you're leaving, are you leaving that county in a better position, or are you leaving it in a worse off position? So, Mr. Speaker, as we support this bill, I would want to urge that we collectively work as a Senate with Senator Mungatana to take into account all the issues that I've discussed, including the discussion of the Equalization Fund, Mr. Speaker, which is discussed and factored in the PFMA Act. But this bill has not made that cross-reference. So, in fact, the bill suggests that socioeconomic rights should be implemented using the Equalization Fund. It was the view of our committee that the Equalization Fund is an affirmative action fund intended to handhold the areas that were historically marginalized. It was not the tool for implementing. In fact, the basic budget or the primary budget of government is the place that should actually hive off the money for implementing the right to health, hive off the money for implementing the right to water, hive off the money for implementing the right to housing, but the Equalization Fund can only come in to handhold the regions that have lagged behind because they were historically marginalized.
Honorable Senators, Senator Catherine Muma, you will have your 7 minutes to conclude on your comments when the House resumes. Honorable Senators, it is now 6:30 p.m., time to adjourn the House. The Senate therefore adjourns until tomorrow, 12th April 2023 at 9:30 a.m.
state corporations and tertiary institutions marks a key milestone in the governance and management of public service institutions. The role of performance evaluation in the instilling the principles and values expressed in Article 232 of the Constitution cannot be overemphasized. Your Excellency, public institutions have been entrusted with the custody and management of enormous resources and power on behalf of the citizens, who in turn have expectations that their resources will be managed transparently and for their benefit. Holders of public offices must therefore be held accountable for results and for how they use these resources. Your Excellency, the performance contracting approach adopted by the government 19 years ago has proved a useful tool for accountability, entrenching a performance-based culture in the service, as well as continuous improvement, efficiency, and effectiveness in service delivery. It gives us an objective yardstick for examining and questioning our attitude and approach to public service and thinking deeply on what it means to be a public servant. Your Excellency, performance contracting has over the years been a catalyst of fundamental change in the service, and going forward, it will remain a key tenet of the comprehensive public service transformation initiatives that your government has committed to. Through Executive Order Number 1 of 2023, you graciously mandated my office with leading and overseeing the promotion of ethics, good governance, efficiency, and effectiveness in the provision of public service through deployment of the right skills, values, and leadership in the Kenyan public service. In this regard, Your Excellency, we have taken decisive steps to embark on a comprehensive public service transformation journey covering all the key aspects of service that includes human capital development, transformative value-driven leadership, fit-for-purpose institutional arrangements, efficient and effective service delivery systems, digitization and digitalization, retooling the public servants with private sector culture and thinking, and over and above all, ensuring that each and every service that is being provided is citizen-centric. This is with the aim of entrenching in the service the agility and the resilience to respond to the demands of a highly dynamic operating environment. We remain mindful of the many challenges brought on the public service by the effects of COVID-19 pandemic, rapid technological developments, intergenerational workforce, and highly demanding and discerning citizenry. Your Excellency, progressively, the service will therefore require a robust mechanism for aligning individual performance to institutional performance and ultimately to national performance, with the aim of bettering the livelihoods of the citizens and increasing political accountability. In this respect, arrangements are underway to ensure that the next cycle of performance contracting incorporates all the commitments Your Excellency has made to the citizens as expressed in the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. We are convinced that a highly performing citizen-centric service is our nation's greatest guarantee for sustainable development. And with this, Your Excellency, we in the public service remain fully committed. To end, Your Excellency, I would want to take this opportunity to invite Prime Cabinet Secretary, His Excellency Dr. Musalia Mudavadi, to come and make his remarks. Welcome. Sorry, the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Public Service and Gender and Affirmative Action. Welcome.
Thank you, Ops. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, Prime Cabinet Secretary and the host, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, Cabinet Secretaries, Principal Secretaries, other senior government officers, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. The official release of the report on evaluation of the performance of ministries, state corporations, and tertiary institutions for the financial year 2021-2022 is a key milestone in the calendar of events in the performance contracting cycle in the public service. Indeed, the large number of guests present here today is a clear proof of importance accorded to this exercise. Your Excellency, our role of the public service is to formulate, interpret, and implement the government's policies, programs, and projects to improve the livelihood of citizens. Transformation of public service in terms of attitudes, culture, and management approaches is a necessary condition to undertake this vital role in order to ensure delivery of quality services to the citizens commensurate with the taxes that they pay. One of the successful performance management approaches that Kenya has adopted for the last 19 years is performance contracting, a tool that has ensured a shift from processes to tangible results in public service. This has in turn ensured efficiency and effectiveness in the delivery of public services. Your Excellency, the Kenya Vision 2030 identified performance contracting as one of the public service reforms that would intensify efforts toward building a public service that is more citizen-focused and results-oriented. The adoption and implementation of performance contracting in public service, supported by other initiatives of performance management, has ensured that public institutions consistently deliver their mandates. This is supported by the fact that performance contracts for the MDAs incorporate key national priorities as well as global development. As the saying goes, what gets measured gets done. And the reverse is true. What does not get measured does not get done. This is why the public service has embraced performance contracting as a yardstick for measuring the impact of service delivered to the citizens. In view of these arrangements are in place to ensure that next cycle of performance contracting, which will be the first under the Kenya Kwanza administration, commencing on 1st July 2023. In this regard, the performance contracting guidelines have been reviewed to accommodate provision of commitment agreed upon during the cabinet retreat held at the beginning of the year. Your Excellency, na wadau wote, kazi imeanza. Na nikimnukuu Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, Rais William Ruto, kwa maneno akisema, kuna kazi imepata mtu na mtu amepata kazi. So tafakari hilo. Your Excellency, with those few remarks, it is now my humble duty to invite the Prime Cabinet Secretary and the host today, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, to make his remarks. Asante Misa.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, my colleague cabinet secretaries, members of parliament, members of the judiciary, principal secretaries, representatives of the Council of Governors, chairpersons of independent commissions, state corporations, and all senior government officers here present, ladies and gentlemen, fellow public servants. Your Excellency, I will seek your indulgence to speak slightly longer than my colleagues, because I think today is an extremely important day for the entire public service and for Kenya in regard to service delivery. So here are my remarks. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to this important occasion for the official release of the 18th cycle report on evaluation of the performance of ministries, state corporations, and tertiary institutions for the financial year 2021-2022. I really emphasize that 2021-2022. Please underscore that because the new government has just stepped in, so the results that you are seeing is because government is in perpetuity and we are releasing the results as they were in that financial year. Your Excellency, the Kenya Vision 2030 guides the development of a robust, well-functioning, citizen-focused, and result-oriented public service as a key foundation for economic growth. To this end, your government is committed to facilitating creation of an environment that fosters Kenya's transformation process as envisaged in the bottom-up transformation agenda, in short, BETTER, and the Kenya Kwanza manifesto. This will be done by sustaining the upscaling of gains made through the deepening of devolution, public sector reforms, and enhanced infrastructure development to spur socioeconomic development. Your Excellency, performance contracting has increasingly become an important tool for improving public sector performance. If implemented well, it is an instrument that should assist the country achieve its long-term economic development policy goals. To this extent, performance contracting has been embedded in the public service for 19 years now, of 2021 as a means of managing performance in the public service. Your Excellency, the first-level performance contracts are signed annually in tandem with the government's budgeting cycle between yourself and the respective cabinet secretary, after which they are cascaded to downstream institutions. So in a few weeks' time, we shall be signing performance contracts with you. Your Excellency, whereas implementation of performance contracting has been on course, its potential is yet to be fully realized. Hence, we are now committing to enhance linkage of performance contracting to key performance indicators contained in the program-based budget under implementation by MDAs. Your Excellency, the role of public servants is to facilitate government to implement its policies, programs, and deliver services to wananchi on a value-for-money basis. Consequently, performance targets must advance the country's development agenda. For this reason, and through Your Excellency, I direct that the performance contracts for cabinet secretaries be aligned to the key government priorities as contained in the program-based budget and cascaded downwards to ensure that all public servants are working towards the common good of the country. Invariably, performance of the public service must then be integral in driving the bottom-up economic transformation agenda as an offshoot in realizing the Kenya Vision 2030. that seeks to transform Kenya into a globally competitive, prosperous country. But, and I say but, we are 7 years short of the expiry of Kenya Vision 2030. A conversation around Kenya's Vision 2063, when Kenya turns 100 years old, must begin. Meanwhile, the rallying call in performance contracting, as Aisha has said, is what gets measured, gets done. Adoption of performance contracts ought to establish uniformity, consistency, and objectivity in measuring public service performance. Hence, its implementation must henceforth fast-track the linkage between planning and budgeting phases to clear outputs and outcomes. Your Excellency, upon implementation of performance contracts in the public service in 2004, economic growth rose to a record 7.1% in 2007 from 0.6% in 2002. This is evidence that a robust performance management system results in efficiency and productivity in the public service, leading to economic growth. Indeed, in 2007, Kenya won the coveted United Nations Public Service Award for transparency, accountability, and responsiveness in service delivery. In June 2021, the country won the second runners-up award for Best Innovation in Citizen-Centered Service Delivery at the 8th All-Africa Public Service Day held in Zimbabwe. As a result, African countries such as Botswana, Malawi, Sierra Leone, and Lesotho have domesticated the Kenyan model of performance contracting in the management of their public service. Performance management the world over has been evolving, and I am informed the same reengineering is taking place in Kenya. First, I am informed that in 2020, the Public Service Performance Management Unit commenced automation of the performance contracting processes that were previously carried out manually. This is being done through a fully homegrown online government performance contracting information system. The ultimate goal of this system is a fully automated end-to-end system where all relevant performance contracting processes are carried out online. It is worth pointing out that the system ensured continuity of service delivery during the challenging COVID-19 pandemic. Hence, the GPCIS should be emulated by other public institutions in their efforts to automate service delivery. Secondly, the Kenya Integrated Performance Management Policy was developed. The policy provides for the principles, strategies, and broad guidelines for performance management in the national and county governments, constitutional commissions, and independent offices while taking cognizance of their autonomy. Its rollout will re-engineer the organizational, operational, and institutional framework for guiding performance management services in Kenya's public service. Thirdly, my office is in the process of developing a public service performance management bill, which will be the overarching law to fully anchor the performance management function in the entire public service institutions at both levels of government. Your Excellency, what we have is a situation where just the regulations are used and some departments have always opted out of performance contracting. We want to have a law that ensures that everybody is captured and nobody is exempt. It will result in value for money from public investments through adoption, streamlining, and unifying norms of whole-of-government approach, and provide a framework for rewarding performance and sanctioning non-performance. Your Excellency, the report that you will be releasing today contains the results of ministries, state corporations, and tertiary institutions against the performance targets that they committed to achieve in the last financial year. But in the subsequent financial years, the focus of the performance contracts will be to marks a momentous occasion since it provides the baseline for performance commitments in the next financial year and also some reflection. Allow me, therefore, to reflect on a matter that should not escape our collective attention. Your Excellency, just before Easter, the Public Service Commission 2021-2022 annual report indicts ministries, departments, and agencies for incurring colossal financial penalties through court awards because of failure to honor contractual obligations. The Public Service Commission reveals that most losses are occasioned when state entities enter into contracts without adequate budgeted and approved funding. Common breach of contracts begs the questions: do frequent breaches of contracts arise out of inept due diligence or sheer negligence by MDAs? Do staff in procuring entities understand procurement laws and that it is their responsibility to ensure contractors fulfill their obligations and that government receives the goods and services it paid for? Or should we conclude they know the rules but choose to ignore them for our benefit? The legal framework for public procurement is set out in Article 227 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 and in several sections of the Public Finance Management Act, number 18 of 2012, and the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act of 2015. Your Excellency, public resources are not infinite. Constant losses cannot be entertained. Under Section 44 of Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act of 2015, accounting officers take responsibility for failure to ensure procurement is within approved budgets and procurement plans. Indeed, that section requires compliance with the provisions of Section 68 of the Financial Management Act. Compliance with the law is therefore not optional. Section 79 of the Act makes it mandatory for public officers to comply with laws regulating public procurement. We cannot condone laxity, wastage, and losses anymore. It is time to strictly apply the penalties accruing from Section 72. Accounting officers failing to manage public assets to achieve value for money will henceforth be penalized. The same applies to application of Section 74(4). Public officers who breach accounting responsibility by making or permitting expenditure that is unlawful will be discharged. I have deliberately highlighted these issues because they are at the center of perennial loss of resources arising from lost cases in courts of law. Going forward, we will soon issue a clear framework to address these deficiencies and make officers more accountable. Your Excellency, in order to fulfill the commitments made to our people, it is paramount that the whole public service honestly puts to practice the tried and time-tested result-based performance management tool. To ensure that this is done, my office will ensure compliance with the annual performance contracting cycle timelines. This is besides holding quarterly meetings with principal secretaries to monitor achievements of agreed performance targets. In this context, a motivated human service resource remains core to performance management and service delivery. In order to promote productivity, innovation, and creativity in public service, youth and personnel living with disabilities require to be motivated. My office is developing a framework for an under 35 Employee of the Year annual award. for this category of public officers. The award may be in the form of promotion and scholarships for such employees who demonstrate commitment and excellence in performance, innovation, and creativity that translates to effective public service delivery. This award will also enhance the visibility of target employees who exhibit high leadership growth potential across the public service. In conclusion, I do recognize the support and contributions of all our partners and collaborators in ensuring the institutionalization of performance management in the public service. Asanteni sana. It was a bit long, but I thought I had to convey this message. It is now my singular pleasure to invite His Excellency the Deputy President, Mheshimiwa Rigathi Gachagua, to come forward, make his remarks, and invite His Excellency the President.
Thank you very much, Prime. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Commander-in-Chief of our Defense Forces, Dr. William Ruto, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, all Cabinet Secretaries present, the Head of the Public Service and Chief of Staff, Principal Secretaries, senior government officials, good morning or afternoon. It's almost there. Good morning. Your Excellency, I'm a retired public servant, so this occasion is momentous for me. But you know, nowadays, I don't want to speak much. When the characters who try to stop my boss from working keep off, I also keep quiet. And therefore, we are happy, Your Excellency, you have the latitude to steer this country into economic prosperity. And the people before you and the entire public service, Your Excellency, is your machine for development. Your Excellency, a vibrant, motivated public service is good for the economy of this country. A motivated and vibrant public service is good for the country. President Mwai Kibaki, the celebrated president of this republic, succeeded in turning around the economy of this country by empowering the public service and allowing them to work. Your Excellency, since you came to the office, you have dignified the public service. Before you took over, Your Excellency, the public service was demoralized. They were demeaned and treated like outcasts. Your Excellency, in the last 5 years, senior civil servants were harassed, hounded, and treated like criminals. We have the celebrated and infamous case of Kamau Thuge, who was the PS National Treasury, who was harassed by junior police officers in full glare of cameras, marched from 10th floor of the Treasury downstairs by constables, put in a vehicle, locked up, only for them later to say he had no case. He had already been demeaned before his family, his friends, and society. Your Excellency, we want to commend you for affirming that senior public servants need to be handled with dignity and decorum. We are not saying by any means that investigative agencies where there are issues of impropriety, of mismanagement, of misappropriation should not do their work. All we are saying is that before you can conclude that somebody has done something wrong, protect his or her dignity. Because these public servants have families, they have friends, they have people they go to church with. And it is wrong to humiliate them and treat them unfairly before you have a case against them. Your Excellency, since you came to office, this has not happened, and we want to urge all those who are interacting with our public servants to accord them due respect and dignity, because these are the people who are the engine of your development. Finally, Your Excellency, I invite all the public servants to take time to read, understand, digest the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, the plan, so that they understand your vision, they understand your programs, and they understand the bottom-up economic transformation agenda as your tool of developing this country. Once they have understood the plan, they will make your work very easy. With those many remarks, I request you to be upstanding and help me to usher in, with clapping, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto. Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy President. Let's take our seats. Thank you very much. Mr. Deputy President, Mr. Prime Cabinet Secretary, the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya, Cabinet Secretaries present, Principal Secretaries, Chairpersons, and Chief Executives of our state corporations, Chairpersons, and Principals of our tertiary institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good afternoon. Today we witness the culmination of the annual performance contracting cycle and the commencement of analysis, reflection, and improvement of future performance on the basis of evidence-based evaluation and feedback. Although the performance management framework is now in the 19th annual cycle, it is important to note that it emphatically and systematically incorporates, articulates, and enforces the values and principles of public service as laid down in Article 232 of the Constitution of Kenya, and thereby enables the public service to become the foremost champion of the national values and principles of governance set out in Article 10 of our Constitution. We must do our part in full to ensure that this event and the process it represents underscores high professional standards, highlights efficient, effective, and economic use of resources, demonstrates responsiveness, promptness, effectiveness, impartiality, and equity in service provision, enhances transparency and accountability, and promotes meritocracy, inclusivity, and diversity. The imperative of ensuring that the provisions of the public service to citizens meets a specified constitutional threshold makes it inevitable for us to insist upon a more standardized, rational, and evidence-based management regime. Last week, I engaged public servants about the constitutional stipulations regarding how government goes about the task of realizing citizens' expectations through the public service. In our constitutional dispensation, the public service is configured to become the optimal instrument to effectively mediate between the government's commitments and citizens' aspirations. In formulating the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, we went to great lengths to conduct exhaustive consultations with Kenyans throughout the country.